Please welcome your hosts, Mariella Frostrup and Richard Bacon.
Hello! Afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Some news to start with. The media reported that there would be 100,000 people at this march today. The number is nothing like that. We have not only doubled that, trebled it, quadrupled it. An hour ago, the number of people at this march was estimated at 565,000 people. 565! But hang on, I have news for you. We have been talking to the police and we've been talking to the stewards. More people are streaming in, and the total number of people demanding a vote today is 670,000 people.
When the vote happened, we were not fully informed. Now we know. Dire consequences. And that can be summed up in just 2 words. Unmitigated chaos. The Mayor of London, please, Sadiq Khan.
My name is Sadiq Khan. I am the Mayor of London. And I support people's vote. You know what? It's absolutely right. It was young people leading this march because it's their future that's on the line. You know, young people's voices wasn't heard during the EU referendum campaign, but their voices are being heard loud and clear today, echoing all the way down the road to the doors in Downing Street.
Yeah, can I ask you, what do you think the chances are for another referendum with a Remain option?
Well, there is a fighting chance, so we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the problem is that we've got into a complete logjam in Parliament. There is no majority for the kind of deal that Theresa May looks as if she's going to get. There's certainly no majority for the hard Brexit of the extremists. And taking this back to the people is a sensible way to resolve it.
So how do you think the mechanics would work then?
Well, the mechanics are complex, and of course it depends on Parliament reasserting its control over the process. But I think if the other options are exhausted, as they may well be, this is, I think, will be seen to many people as a sensible way forward.
Do you see any sort of timescale as far as people vote?
Well, we're not defining a particular week. I mean, of course, it depends when the government gets its so-called deal. But I think we are talking clearly about the next 3 months.
Brexit is racist! Not May, no Brexit! No racist EU exit! No May, no Brexit! No racist EU exit! No May, no Brexit! No racist EU exit! No May, no Brexit! No racist EU exit! It's all right! Make it all right! Brexit is racist! No Brexit more! Brexit is racist! Hey, Theresa May! Immigrants are here to stay! Hey, Theresa May! Immigrants are here to stay! Hey, Theresa May!
670,000. 670,000 people who don't want the country to be ruined. Our next speaker knows more than most about Northern Ireland, having lost his father to the Troubles. His role today is to introduce the next generation by video, no expense spared. Please welcome Mr. Patrick Keelty.
In 1988, my father was killed in Northern Ireland. He was one of thousands of innocent victims of a conflict that tore our homeland apart. Then, 10 years later, the Good Friday Agreement brought us peace by allowing both sides to be what they wanted to be, British or Irish. We voted on it by a referendum. And in the EU referendum, we voted to remain because we knew the mess that this would mean for our island.
I, like so many in Northern Ireland, am a child of the peace process. Yet here we are, 20 years later, facing Brexit. We again are a nation divided, entrenched by opposing ideologies. Let's make sure we have our voices heard. Let's make sure our peace and prosperity is protected, and let's make sure we get a people's vote.
We're a city that has education rates that are low, investment rates that are low, and employment rates that are low. And to be honest, often our optimism about the future is even lower. And that's why places like where I grew up voted Leave. And because the Brexit elite promised us investment in our public services, promised us investment in our worldwide shipping trade, promised us the hope that comes with taking back control. And where are those promises today?
Who would have predicted in the sad summer of 2016 that students and young people would band together in their thousands to fight for their future's sake? Well, I say to the people of the UK all the world over, the best way to predict the future is to create it for ourselves.
With me today are my two beautiful little girls, and I want a people's vote for them as much as I do for my students, because today is a people's vote for our future. How can we look the next generation in the eyes and tell them that their futures are going to be taken away from them?
A Brexit at any cost is not a price that our NHS can afford. And it's a price that will ultimately be paid for by those who staff our health service and the patients that we care for. I am one of those patients. I'm a patient who frequently relies on the NHS and its staff from around the world. We have a publicly funded health service, providing first-rate care free at the point of need. The NHS is one of the greatest things this country has ever achieved. And yet, over the past 2 years, thank you! And yet, over the past 2 years, it's become clear that Brexit is a threat to both the NHS and the nation's health.
So I've worked in business all of my life. If there's one thing business doesn't like, it's uncertainty. 2 years ago, we had no idea what chaos Brexit was going to bring, and today we know even less.
So I'm delighted to do a very independent thing now and introduce a range of voices from across the political spectrum. So please welcome Caroline Lucas of the Green Party and the Independent's comment pages, the Labour MP and Independent columnist, Chuka Ramuna, the SNPs, Joanna Cherry, the Liberal Democrat leader and Independent columnist, Vince Cable, and the Conservatives, Emma Soubry.
What a beautiful sight you are, and what a movement we have become. The Green Party is proud to be part of this amazing movement for a people's vote, because we know that democracy didn't end on the 23rd of June 2016. So let us go out there and use this people's vote as an opportunity to transform the way things are, not to defend the status quo.
What an amazing crowd. Now, I'm Lambeth born and bred. I represent it, and we scored the highest Remain vote in the country, and we're proud of it. Let us not have your Farages, your Boris Johnsons or your Jacob Rees-Moggs divide this nation, and let us say with one voice, we want a people's vote, and we want it now.
And despite the fact that I support Scottish independence, I want to see all the nations of the United Kingdom remain in the European Union. I also just want to say a little something today about all the European Union citizens who live and work in the United Kingdom and who didn't get a vote. To say that those of us here today still very much care about you. We want you to remain here and to continue to make the huge contribution you do.
But I want to address my remarks to the thousands of young people in the audience whose future is being taken from them. The freedom to travel, to work, to study across Europe. It's a tragedy that this country is now being divided by generation. Theresa May says she's going out trying to get the best deal for this country. Let's be very clear, there is no deal better than the one we have now.
You know, when we launched the People's Vote back in April, the truth of it is that we were the few. Today, it's clear we are the many. Friends, because we are all friends. What a great day we've had. There's more work to be done. Now all of us come together. Isn't that great to see people of all parties coming together? This, the greatest, most important issue and decision that our country has taken in decades. We will continue to make the case over there in Parliament. But there's more work to be done. We need your help so that the people can take back control of the future of this country.
And write to your MPs to say, enough is enough. Write to them to say that this is our
this march has only just reached Hyde Park Corner, which for those of you who don't come from London is a really long way away, and it means that 670,000 people was a very, very low estimate. There are many, many, many more of us here today. Thank you all for coming.
Politicians have made a mess of it. It has to go back to the people. We demand a people's vote! We demand a people's vote! We demand a people's vote! We demand a people's vote!
Well done! Thank you!
But the other thing that many of the brilliant speakers that we've all heard from today have made clear is this. Where are all the Brexit leaders? Where are they? They're not taking responsibility for this mess and for this chaos. They've walked away.